Hello guys, welcome to a trading Parrot. As you can see, there is a 1 hour time frame, head and shoulders, about to break down. As I'm recording is testing the support, we're gonna talk about those targets and what sort of damage that can do into the 4-hour structure that is currently testing support. Very time sensitive information today, but all of this in the context of seeing large holders depositing huge amounts of Bitcoin into the exchanges and profit takers doing a big spike to the upside as well. Make sure you don't miss any of this information, particularly if you are still in a long. I'll give you an update on my position, what decision I have taken last night, so do not miss that. We are just 1 day away from the FOMC meeting, and now we are sitting at 99.9% chances of no change in the interest rates. People are wondering what's going on, if there's an expectation of no change, why things are really pumping. And I'm not just talking about Bitcoin, but I'm also specifically referring to general markets, which yesterday had a very good close. Thanks to that, Nasdaq and S&P managed to close in the territory of a weekly breakout, a reclaim of this level, which is positive, but we still don't get a new all-time high on those assets. Yesterday we talked about the aggregated open interest completing the W pattern, but so far it's just holding from there. The shape that we were seeing last night is no longer there at 35.2 billion. I remind you that what we want to see is a breakout there that can reach a new all-time high in open interest. That's definitely going to be hand in hand with the price move into all-time highs together. In terms of the Bitcoin status, not much has really changed. All I'm changing is that we took out the CME gap. You can see that 106 that yesterday left just a thin hair. We managed to completely weak there, and that did the trick of taking fully out of the way the CME gap. Now, thanks to that move down and the fact that we couldn't put a new high against the 109K, we kind of completed the right shoulder in the 1 hour time frame of this pattern, and that has a neckline that is located at 106.7, and we are about to print the second 1 hour candle below that support. The target of this pattern, if you want to know, let's calculate it roughly like that, is pointing to around 104.385, and I remind you, in my new long I enter at 104.9, so that's definitely below my entry. So I'm actually now happy I was moving my stop loss with the price going higher. Some people in my Patreon community already told me that they managed to close at 108 point something, which is fantastic. I decided to move in the ladder level by level the stop loss in case we were aiming for higher, and that decision came from the idea that we could still go into the 111, and I just wanted to keep the stop loss a little bit further away while at the same time retaining some of the profits, which I actually did, and now the price is below my exit, so I think that was great. Looking at the 4 hour, you can see that the RSI is perfectly now hitting the support that is at 48.83 thanks to the sharp decline. Last night when we were recording the video, we were at over 68 intra-candle, and now we are precisely at that support that we call out in the video. Let's update that support to 48.83. So I will say for continuation, we need a candle close in the next 2 hours above 106.245. Of course, the higher we close above this, ideally above 107, which has been really a critical level throughout all this trading range, that will be even better, but that is kind of the last line in the sand for the 4 hour time frame. After losing that, thanks to the head and shoulder on the 1 hour, we could be going into this bullish order block. That order block is the last line of defense before taking the previous lows. I'm referring to 102.5 followed by 100.3. Those are the two previous lows, and by taking that bullish order block, we are kind of dismantling the whole move up. If we defend 106.2, we got some chances. Reclaiming 107 brings the complete hope back on the table that we are going actually to those bullish targets in the yellow zone in here. On On the daily, we retrace on the momentum straight into the median. I think the daily hasn't yet fully given up. After all, we did this pinch and we are just battling, arm wrestling with 106. Today's close is gonna define whether this is another success or another defeat in this battling with the top of the range that we've been having since around 19th of May. It's been weeks that we are trading in this range and ending every single week extremely flat. We take the longs, we take the shorts, liquidate everybody and just continue just hovering around 105. There hasn't been yet a breakdown below 104.4. That's why we haven't gone yet into the bull market support band. And let's pay attention under the carpet. In this channel, we are not only looking at the price action, we also look at data since we practice data-driven trades. If you want to trade with me, $500 position airdrop in the description. Any of these coins, just click register to claim and you get to keep the profits of trading with that size. If you want to go non-KYC, you have this campaign called the Well Campaign 2.0 that gives 10% cashback and up to 3,000 futures bonus on bluffing, a non-KYC exchange. So starting with leverage squeeze, you can see that after we hit these highs of extreme amount of longs, we went back into the median. At that point, we decided to enter in a long. So I want to keep an eye on whether this is going too extreme in the amount of longs, which I see here not yet happening. So that is a point towards supporting the idea that that 4-hour might hold still and we might continue into 111. Let's see the next data point, which is the SOPR. The SOPR is now saying that there has been a significant amount of additional people taking profits, closing their deals in the green. The higher this line gets towards the top percentile, basically this is 103. If it gets into 104, we're pinching a level where we usually see a local top. So that is a warning, whereas this one says we might rally a little bit further. This says we are getting very close to a local top thanks to the profit takers. That applies to Bitcoin, but not necessarily to Ethereum, as you can see in the right-hand side. And despite the fact that the long-term holders continue to accumulate in this area, as you can see in this chart, we are seeing a big spike in the big well explorer. And this is coming from the large holders that have deposited over 45,000 Bitcoin, and this happens over the past 2 days. This comes from into the block source and is the inflows specifically of large holders. Sometimes in the next 24 hours, there can be also some withdrawals that match those inflows, and maybe they're just moving from wallet to wallet or going into exchange and then changing hands and stuff like that, in which case this spike in the ratio from being 133 could come back below 1, below 0, and then cool down, indicating that it's a false alarm. So we are going to keep an eye on this indicator in the next few days. A spike like this, if it settles around this area, is not something bullish, but as you can see, we had recently on the 25th of April something like that. That means that they deposit into the exchange. Unfortunately, knowing that is not enough, because you don't know what they're planning to do that, or when are they planning to do what they want to do, right? And we speculate that that is a potential distribution, and I think that they deposit around 94, they prepare, finger in the trigger, and when they reach around 110, they distribute. Then they enter in this area and the accumulation again, and now we are reaching 109 and we are seeing another distribution, but that distribution might not yet be happening. If the bulls get lucky, we might get into 111 and maybe they execute the distribution at that point, but this is just finger in the air speculation. There's no way that I can use any technicals to allow me yet to read their minds. But I think it's good to know and get early pokes in the shoulder. Hey, 50,000 in the exchange today. Watch out for that. If you appreciate the information, leave a comment down below what you think is gonna be, or if you heard any news that this is just a false alarm, because sometimes it happens. We continue to see green days for ETFs. Accumulation is back into healthy mode after a few few days in the red, you can see that we are almost at all-time highs in cumulative flows for Bitcoin, which is really positive. Fear and greed is in 68, and we need to apply the slap in the face to look for exits. That's true. We just exit our position again in profits. What I'm doing now is looking for a new entry. So I want to see what's going to happen with this head and shoulder on the 1 hour. Remember, the target is around 104 point something. It should be somewhere around here if it goes for the technical target, but you know better than me, if you've been watching the channel, that we get tons of these patterns faking out. A fake out looks pretty much like wiping the floor in here and then suddenly a move back up, so everybody ends up like with a question mark hanging from their heads, thinking what the hell just happened. Well, it happens very frequently, so be prepared for that. Adjust your risk management in case you are in a short or something. Think about how you would like to enter in the most decent way, right? Not like, hey, I'm in profit and suddenly I'm in a huge loss. I have no clue what to do or what happened. Well, your risk if you are in a short is definitely getting to 111 and carrying on slightly higher after that. And the risk for the longs is basically going into that technical target or somewhere in here, and then that they drag you even further away. After all, there is 45 Bitcoin that could hit the market. On the daily, the structure doesn't necessarily look any broken. You can see we have higher highs and higher lows in this area in here. The only thing that we are missing, something that I have placed multiple times and repeat in the Bitcoin status, is that we are still missing a higher high relative to what we've done in here at 111 or the all-time high. We need that to confirm that this is not just a distribution. And one potential hypothesis is that they are preparing those deposits to unload into the liquidity. That is also possible. Let's look at the order book. You can see that there is some selling wall in here. It's not the biggest one ever. Actually starts from 110 into 110.4. Support is coming in at the moment in a humble way right next to the price, but at around 105 there is some interesting level coming in. Below that there is absolutely nothing. Let's update this. Let's see if things are changing. I still see 111, the most interesting level. And on fire charts, let's update this to monthly and 99 percentile. And yeah, the purple whales took some profits. If you can see, this is curving down and not yet starting to rebuy the dip. Those are the ones that lead the pack. And the order book is very thin at the moment. There are levels, but they are all around the 30 or below million dollars. And you can see that in this move in here, we saw the CBD, the aggressive buyers, really taking it seriously. But in this area in here, as soon as we reach the 108, they roll over. So all this area in here is not yet looking like what we managed to do from 74 into 112. You can see that this was really aggressive buying. This is like aggressive buying, but give it back to me. I want it now. And that's a change in behavior that we need to note so we know where we are standing, right? And in the order book, there's been this ask in red since the beginning of the rally, just like in this area. So let's appreciate the differences. As soon as we reach 105.6 on the 9th of June, we flip into everybody trying to get in as soon as possible. And that flip into blue in this area caused the largest candle. So the biggest momentum, we achieve it in this area by flipping into the ratio being in the positive. So have we have so far any flip? Has this convinced anybody, this move of the price, so that we get a ratio in the positive? Not yet. We are still very defensive at these prices. Even coming back down, that is not yet making the trick to flip this into blue. That is another thing to note in case you want to buy the support. Can you do it? Yes. Can it become profitable if you re-enter now at the 4-hour support? Definitely. Are you necessarily riding, as we speak, a wave of increased interest in this move down? No. So you're a little bit like flipping a coin to re-enter. So personally, I will keep a little bit of an eye to see if there's something more definitive, and if you really have to re-enter because you just see there a retest of support or whatever, I will do it in increments and thinking always your risk management first. If you're wrong, how you get out of that, or how you planning to balance, scale up on the way down, where, timing, etc. You can see this area of red is when the longs pull out. They pull out at this stop, they pull out at this stop too. They created a head and shoulders thanks to that. And this is how it's looking with the different percentages of bid-ask ratio. Not a lot of support. Some of them are in the 60s, 70s percentiles, but the ones that are more shallow, 1 and 2%. 5 and 10 are now at 40 and 36% of percentile. That means that away from the price, we are not necessarily seeing a lot of interest in buying the dip so far. The interest is very close to the price, which is again flipping a little bit of coin. You are betting that this shallow support will make the trick. And yesterday we took all the fair value gap, and now we are playing with the ones in here that we also pointed out that could be a little bit of a too deep correction if we were to go there. This is the second time that we are not holding 107, assuming that we close the candle like this in the next 4-hour candle close. Wrap up, I want a long, I want a little bit better conditions to convince me that it's really worth entering in here, and I'm not just buying a falling knife. It might be a huge false alarm, the 45k, but you know me, I'm very picky and I love bragging that I don't take losses more than bragging that I enter in everything like a maniac. And I think that's a key difference between my channel and other channels. I hope that is your thing too. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one. Take care, bye bye.